Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of Wicked. This movie is directed by John M. Chu, who previously did In the Heights and Crazy Rich Asians. This movie stars Ariana Grande, Cynthia Erivo, and Jeff Goldblum. Now, the plot of this movie is about young Elphaba, played by Cynthia Erivo, and Galinda, played by Ariana Grande, and they are joining the school of Shiz University in Oz. And the story is about two unlikely people that become the closest of friends. Now, the story of Wicked is based on a series of books, and it's most famously based on a stage play. And in the stage play, you had Idina Menzel as Elphaba and Kristen Chenoweth as Galinda. And so when they first announced they were making this movie, I was real curious because I knew of the play. I'd never seen it, but I knew of it. So I was like, okay, this is either going to be, a big new franchise, a new IP that's going to be the next Frozen, ironically, or I thought it was going to be like Maleficent, one of those stories about a villain origin story that we didn't need, that painted them more as misunderstood and made you feel for them and not look at them as a bad guy. So I was real curious. And I saw the cast and I was like, all right, so it's going to be bright, colorful, it's going to have a lot of singing in it, so I'll check this out. And after seeing this movie, I can honestly say I'm really glad that I did. Here's why. Now, I'm not the world's biggest musical movie fan. However, I do like films such as The Greatest Showman and Les Mis. So, having seen this movie, I was really surprised the effort and the care that they took to make this type of movie. And it wasn't not only the singing, it wasn't the subject matter, it was also the world building. To take a world that is Oz, that's based on what, 15, 20 books alone, and then the Wicked series, and I was real curious how they were going to take this world and display it differently, make it look and feel different than we'd seen before, from Wizard of Oz, Return to Oz, Oz the Great and Powerful. What were they going to do differently this time around to make you feel like you're in this world and with these characters? And let me start with the acting in this movie. I will say the standout here is Cynthia Erivo. She's the outsider character. She's the one that nobody cares about. And we've seen the plot line of the outsider, loner, unpopular girl, clashing and then maybe making friends with the popular one. We saw it in Mean Girls, Clueless, Jawbreaker, a bunch of other stuff. But Cynthia Erivo here as Elphaba, the outsider, the green one, she did a very good job of not only playing this character that, you could feel the loneliness, you could feel the way that she was looked at and looked down upon, and she really emoted that very well with her character in both, her lines of dialogue, her whippy jokes, but also the way she sings, and you could feel that. I will say Ariana Grande can act, but here I had an issue with her only because the character of Glinda is the popular one in this movie. But the way she emotes isn't very good because a lot of things that she says sounds the same. No matter if she's being sarcastic or being mean or being sad or being helpful, it all sounds very, condescending kind of. And, maybe it's the way she talks, in that voice. It's just hard to decipher, is she putting on an act or does she mean it? But I guess that's the way the character was done. But she got the point across that she was the popular one and she was eventually would feel sympathetic towards Elphaba. So the message is there. I just didn't like the way that Ariana Grande went about that character. You have a real good supporting cast here. Galinda has like these two these two buddies, one guy, one girl, that are kind of like the other co-bullies in this movie. They were characters and they were enjoyable. You had this redhead nerdy guy that's nervous, that likes one of them, is too nervous to say anything about it. His character was likable. You had this love interest that comes in, Prince Fiora. He was nice. They kind of spend a lot of time on him as if he may or may not become something going forward, so I'm real curious what they do with that character. You also have a character of Nessa Rose, I believe her name was, who plays Elphaba's sister, which is a nice addition. And when they show certain scenes of Nessa Rose, look at her socks. That's all I'm going to say. Because I am a fan of Wizard of Oz. And so going into this movie, one thing I was keeping an eye on was, okay, what could lead into the Wizard of Oz story that we know? So that's something that intrigued me about this film as well. You also had character actors like Peter Dinklage, who voices one of the characters, which was a nice addition. I'm curious where that subplot is going to go moving forward in this franchise, but I was intrigued by that. You have a character played by Michelle Yeoh, who's like she's kind of like the superstar witch that the school kind of looks up to and helps teach the witches, unlock their potential, so to speak. And then you have Jeff Goldblum as the Wizard of Oz himself. A little eccentric, but Jeff Goldblum these days just plays himself, so he was a nice addition to this movie as well. But I gotta give my biggest props to the set design. This movie did a wonderful job of making you feel like this was a magical world that characters could move around and sing and, dance in. It wasn't just a closed claustrophobic set. It wasn't green screen. This was a big actual set that was built. And if you've looked at John M. Chu's previous work, from the Step Up movies to In the Heights and Crazy Rich Asians, you know that he likes to make sets look wonderful. And he does that here very splendidly. And of course, you're going to have, the green and emerald. You're going to have the pink from Galinda, and it all works here. The personalities, they clash, but also they come together at certain points. And the movie looked great. Speaking of the Emerald City, I thought it was the best looking location in this movie, and there is a really fun, I'll just say, fan service moment and some cameos that if you've followed the Wicked, I'll just say, lore and everything that's come before this movie, then you'll be pleasantly surprised, as I would. I had a smile on my face, really, really big. And this movie is going to be part one. They say that right off the bat. I'm guessing the reason they didn't say that in the marketing for this movie or any of the trailers is maybe because it would turn fans off. They would feel that they'd have to watch this and something else later, so they probably hid that from audiences. But I don't mind it, because this movie ended on a note that makes you wanting more. And not all of the songs were incredibly memorable, but there was a song, Popular, and of course the most famous song, Defying Gravity, in this film that will have you tapping your toes and humming the next day at work. So this movie was really good. It was very, very surprising how much I enjoyed this movie. And yeah, the acting was good. The characters were colorful. There were emotional scenes that took me by surprise as well. And so yeah, I definitely recommend this movie. So because of that, I'm going to give Wicked an A. So until next time, guys, see you.